There are so many games that are releasing in this last quarter of 2025. But beyond the games that are actually releasing, there's also tons of games running betas and also just marketing new releases that will be out in 15 years from now. But today in particular, I wanted to talk about one of my most anticipated games that I had a chance to play not only in the previous CBT of, but also at Tokyo Game Show. And that game is Mongil Stardive. To be honest, this game is kind of right up my alley because I've always been a fan of creature collection and of anime games, and they took those two things and mashed them together perfectly. And now I can enjoy a game that feels like I'm playing an anime that also has creature collection in it. And the best way to help you guys understand this is just by showing you the game. So I'll show you a little bit of gameplay footage and talk you through why I like this game so much. First, when you start off the game Mongil Stardive, you're met with a cutscene that's got a really cute fox girl. Boy, I sure do hope there's nothing violent or bloody in the next 5 seconds. The intro sequence of this game is really cozy. It starts you off with some pretty intense cutscenes, but that seems to be a trend for anime games for some reason, to just put you into some distant future where things are terrible and then take you back 50 years and let you know that you're in for a long ride on this live service game. But anyways, it starts by spitting you out into a forest. The male MC's name is Cloud and the female MC's name is Verna, or maybe it's pronounced Verna. I'm actually not sure. I played in JP dub. Anyways, I absolutely love that character because she has such a shitty attitude about everything and it's really funny. She's also just really cool because all of her combat is fire melee based, and she uses a sword, which is one of my favorite standard weapons. But yeah, Verna's really cool, and you get to see a lot of her in the main story cutscenes because she is traveling with you as your main companion, aside from Nyanners, who we'll get to in a little bit. The entire time she's with you, though, she's basically always making fun of you, and she's a great comic relief character, and I'm not just saying that because I like women who bully me. Anyways, you explore the forest a bit, and they introduce you to creatures in the world. They start off with these mushrooms called cappies, and you have to mercilessly annihilate them. Eventually, you gotta go fight this other guy who looks like a pig out of Angry Birds, but a lot more threatening. And this is your first boss fight. It's the tutorial boss fight. It teaches you all about switching between characters and how to effectively dodge and all of the pros and cons of that. And I've gotta say, even though Mongil's combat does remind me of quite a few games I've played already, it feels very fluid and very impactful in everything that you do. When you dodge at the right time and then you get a follow-up from one of your allies, it's super satisfying, and it makes for some really fun and quick interactions, especially since when you switch characters that way, if you switch off, your other characters will persist on the field for a little bit. So in order to get the highest damage, you have to keep all of your characters on the field at the same time for as long as possible, which can prove difficult if you suck at the game like me, but later on I'm sure it won't be a problem once we figured everything out. Then you get to meet Nyanners, who is this absolute unit gluttonous fiend of a void cat. Nyanners is so fat and it's amazing, and I love them. This is another moment where I really admired the cutscenes and the cinematography of it, because even though this is only like 10 minutes into the beginning section of the game, they already do so much with the characters, their expressions, the voice acting, the camera movements, and everything. They make it feel so alive, and it honestly feels like playing an anime. The way everything's portrayed is as enjoyable to me as an episode of Konosuba, and this doesn't really drop off later. It just keeps going at this same level of quality for the entirety of the beta that I played. But anyways, off of that little side tangent, let's go back to Nyanners for a little bit. Nyanners offers so many great moments within the story, even just in the small little bit of the beta that I ended up getting to play, and it's really hard not to fall in love with them. Oh, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I actually got to get 2 giant Nyanners plushies at Tokyo Game Show. Oh yeah, did I mention Mongil invited me to Tokyo Game Show? That was pretty awesome. TGS this here is where I got a lot of this video's information from, because not only did I get to experience Mongil Stardive in real life, where I got to meet cosplayers for the different characters, find a giant Nyanners statue that was full of mini Nyanners, and meet some other wonderful people who are excited for the game, but I also got to play the brand new beta on an experimental monitor, which I don't think is related to Mongil Stardive at all, but it was really cool because there wasn't any need for glasses or any like discoloration on the monitor. It just let things be in 3D in the game. It had this other level of immersion to it that I think once they've polished up the monitors, it will be just absolutely crazy and probably the go-to for a lot of people. But monitors aside, I got to play the game there at the convention on the newest possible build. There was some new bosses. They had a bunch more characters in the game for us to play, and it gave me a better look at what the game is like later on. I've got pretty high hopes. Tokyo Game Game Show was a blast this year, and I'm not going to make this entire video about it, but I wanted to add that in there because without attending Tokyo Game Show this year, this video wouldn't exist. So back to the main story here. We get to the town, and it is absolutely beautiful. I love the scenery. I love the art style. I am a huge sucker for old European architecture and fantasy settings, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on what that means, but just think about like stone house structures or full stone houses, and then you have like kind of wooden structures above the stone foundation, and then like darker wooden floors and fires and just all sorts of cozy things. Anyways, the city just really delivers in that aspect. It's very pretty, very beautiful, very vibrant, and my ADHD brain is fully stimulated when I'm looking at the surroundings. You then head to the guild where you meet the love of my life and some other new characters, and you find out that Nyanners turns monsters into monsterlings, and monsterlings are essentially, they're just like little dumplings of the monster, like they're just little squishy guys. I don't really want to spoil any more of the story, so I'll stop there, but I do want to talk about some of the systems. The main gimmick of Mongo Stardive is this sort of creature collection aspect where you can take Nyanners consumes the creatures, and then you collect them as little monsterlings, and they actually do provide you bonus abilities when you equip them. However, they're not anything random like relics or artifacts from other popular gachas that you may know. They're just straight up bonuses, and most importantly, they're fun to collect. I want to fill out the little Mongil decks there. I think it's really fun. The monsterlings actually grow in level with your characters, and they participate in things like battles and help you complete combinations. And because this is a beta, they don't have all of the tracks, but they're adding more as the game goes on. As for other systems in the game, this is a gacha game, so you do have stamina, you have leveling materials, ascendancy materials, armor and gear and equipment. Basically anything that you would see in a popular 3D gacha game probably exists in this game too. But in addition to the gacha elements, there are tons of RPG elements as well, such as different roles like the fighter, assassin, destroyer, and support. For example, Mina is a fire ranged fighter, Esther is a wind melee assassin, Reina is a lightning melee destroyer, and the really hot nurse cat girl is a support. The different roles or classes all tend to have some sort of gained resource throughout the fight, and I don't know too much about how they work, but it's a really interesting concept to add some more depth to characters and your team building. When you combine the fact that there's a class system in a game that also has creature collection in an aesthetic and a world that's sort of this like fantasy RPG setting, alongside things like dungeons, bosses, and general RPG progression, it makes for a very exciting game. I only wish that I knew more about it because it seems like this game was just teased earlier this year, and since then we've had 2 betas that have given us so much more info, but we don't have enough to be able to tell what it's going to be like in the end game, and that's what I'm really curious about. But regardless of those factors, I very much enjoyed what I played of Mongil Stardive, and I'm very surprised at how fun this game has turned out. Now, it is a gacha game, but literally in the gacha menus it says that those are CBT rates and that they're subject to change, so I don't really want to go into too much detail on how the gacha system actually works because I actually don't think it's going to stay this way, and it might change drastically by launch. But ignoring the fact that it's gacha, if this is a game that you chose to play free to play on your own time, you'd probably get a ton of enjoyment out of it just for the way the story is presented. If you're someone that likes a story that's actually very engaging and makes you want to sit through the dialogues because they're so cute and the camera angles are moving and your brain is completely stimulated the whole time, Mongil has done an exceptional job with that. The second beta also added a ton of content, like an extension to the story, new monsters, new dungeons, and a new raid boss, and I thought that fight was pretty fun, but once again, I don't really want to spoil any of the story stuff for you guys. Anyways, the brand hasn't confirmed any of this stuff with me yet, but I'm pretty sure this game's going to be releasing within the next year or two because they already have pre-registration open, and if you click the link down in the description or in the pinned comment, you can actually pre-register right now for exclusive rewards using my link. So go check that out if you want. If any of this sounds interesting to you, it's right there for you. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you guys are excited as I am for Mongil Stardive.